We head into another huge weekend of League One action as Derby County face Leyton Orient and Portsmouth face Bolton Wanderers. Derby County could come out of this weekend 5 points clear of Bolton Wanderers, but they could also come out of this weekend 1 point behind Bolton if things don't go the correct way. Peterborough will also be hoping to continue their promotion push as they currently find themselves 6 points behind Derby with a game in hand. And obviously they face Bolton on the final day, so they very much have a part to play in this final promotion push of League One. Shall we now get a look at the league table, and then let's take a preview of all the 5 fixtures which impact this upcoming promotion race. So here we have it. As you can see, Portsmouth have the opportunity this weekend to get themselves that title of League One as they face Bolton Wanderers away at Bolton Wanderers. Now, Portsmouth have only lost 4 times this season, so do I think they're going to go out and push for the win? I'm not 100% sure. I do think they'll go for it, but I think they'll be happy to settle for a draw and win the title in the next game if worst case scenario. Now obviously Bolton Wanderers will be going all out for the win as they know that a win is massively important to their promotion push. Derby County face Leyton Orient, who are currently sitting in 10th position as they look to try and extend their gap to Bolton. They are looking to capitalise on any dropped points over the weekend, whether that be Bolton, Peterborough or Portsmouth. Obviously Portsmouth are already confirmed as promoted, I believe, so that ship has potentially sailed. Shall we now take a look into the first fixture and then get into each game as it comes, and let's see where the table could be at the end of the weekend. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you let me know in the comments which team you think is going to get promoted in that second place spot. Is it going to be Derby, Bolton or Peterborough? Also, let me know who you think is going to get relegated. Is it going to be Burton, Port Vale, Cheltenham? Let me know your thoughts down below while you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next part of the video. So game number 1, which I'm going to take a look at, is Blackpool versus Carlisle. Now, obviously, Carlisle are already relegated and they lost to Blackpool earlier this season 3-0. Now, obviously, Carlisle have picked up some really good results recently with the 3-1 win over Peterborough United not that long ago. So Carlisle could spark an upset. Obviously, Blackpool will be looking to try and continue their push into the playoffs with Oxford United and Lincoln currently sitting ahead of them. But let's take a look at the head-to-head of both sides. Now, obviously, the fixtures on this website stretch back to 2016. But in the past 2 years, Blackpool have won in a friendly and in League One earlier this season. But obviously, Blackpool are the main side in this fixture, winning 3 of the 5 games, with Carlisle only winning 1 and drawing 1. If we take a look at both teams' form down here, you can see they're both in equally similar form. 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw for Blackpool, 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw for Carlisle. Carlisle have beat Cheltenham Town and Peterborough United while losing to Lincoln City and Northampton, as well as picking up a good point against Stevenage. However, that wasn't enough to help them battle against relegation. Blackpool, as you can see on the right-hand side, are sitting in 8th position on 67 points. They've gone unbeaten in their final 3, collecting 7 points. However, they did lose to Derby County and Wigan Athletic, which is what has dropped them a little bit further down that playoff promotion push. Obviously, Blackpool have the opportunity to find themselves in 6th place should results go their way. However, they have played an extra game on Lincoln City and Oxford United, so it's still all to play for in that situation. But Blackpool will be wanting to get points on the board, as for me, that is a premium. Points on the board over games in hand, and I think the same when it comes to Derby and Bolton, as well as Peterborough. So, shall we now take a look into the next fixture? Obviously, Carlisle United are sitting in 24th place, already relegated. There's nothing anyone can do about that, and they are out of the running. So, game number 2 is Barnsley versus Reading at Oakwell. Now, Barnsley will be hoping to turn around a recent defeat to Stevenage as they look to continue their push for the playoffs. It's still not confirmed that they will get the playoffs. However, they will be hoping that they can seal it soon, as the likes of Lincoln and Oxford are pushing really, really hard for that final playoff place. And who knows, Barnsley could find themselves slipping out. Now, if we look at the head-to-head of 2 sides, Reading take the mantle with 8 wins in those games with 6 draws and 3 losses. Most recently was a 3-1 Barnsley win earlier on in the season in December, but you cannot take away from the fact that Reading have beat Barnsley 8 times in the history that they have on this website, including games in the Championship. Now, if we look at the league table on the right-hand side, Barnsley will be looking to get 3 points so they can make sure that they are away from Oxford United and potentially seal their playoff place. Currently, Lincoln and Oxford are still in with a shot of getting 5th place as well as 6th, so Barnsley will be looking to seal that deal as quickly as possible. If we now look at both sides' recent form, you can see Barnsley have lost 3 of their previous 5 games to Stevenage, Charlton and Cambridge, but they also picked up a 3-1 win against Burton Albion, as well as a 0-0 draw against Cheltenham Town. Reading, on the other hand, have won 3 of their 5, drawing to Lincoln City 1-1, which was a very, very good result, but losing 5-2 to Bolton Wanderers. There is no reason why Barnsley can't come out and pick up all 3 points. However, I think Reading will have a lot to say in this game. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, as Reading are sitting in 17th place. Practically, in my opinion, they are safe. I can't see Port Vale picking up 9 points. I can't see Burton picking up 9 points. But mathematically, it is not yet confirmed. So, Reading will look to this game to try and confirm their safety. A point, for me, does it. Yeah, I think a point does it anyway, mathematically. 49-9. Yeah, a point in this game does it for Reading. So that's going to be interesting to see how they come out of Saturday at 5 p.m. But obviously, Barnsley, with the form they're in, they could quite easily slump out of those playoff places. But they also have the opportunity to close up and put pressure on Peterborough. And obviously, in Derby's case, they want as much pressure on Peterborough and Bolton as possible to see if they'll falter or if they won't. But there's a long way to go with 3 games to go for most teams, 4 for Peterborough and just 2 for Derby. 2 for Derby, 3 for Derby. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Shall we now get on to the next game? Another big one in that race for the playoff places. Lincoln City currently find themselves just 2 points behind Oxford as they face Wigan Athletic at home. Now, in the previous fixture, it was a 0-0 draw, but Lincoln City were not on this incredible run of form back then. Lincoln City have taken 3 wins to 1 against Wigan Athletic in their head-to-head, and they've only taken 1 draw in that time period as well. Lincoln City will be looking to continue their good form and their unbeaten run as they head into this game, but will they be able to? If we take a look at both sides' recent form, as you know, Lincoln City, I believe they're 20-21 unbeaten or something like that, with 4 wins in their past 5 games. And then Wigan Athletic, not quite on the same trajectory. They've got 1 win, 1 loss and 3 draws. But Wigan are pretty much, well, they're safe. They're not fighting for anything. They're not going to get playoffs. They're not going to get relegated. They have nothing on the line. So they are literally just playing for pride. If they just drew all their final games, they'd be very, very happy, in my opinion, especially considering their points deductions that they've faced this season and the problems they've faced in the past. Now, obviously, this game is massively important for Lincoln City. They currently find themselves 2 points behind Oxford United, but they find themselves 6 points behind Barnsley. And there is very much an opportunity where Lincoln City and Oxford could both get into the playoffs and Barnsley slip out. But is that going to happen? That is the question. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. While you're down there, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell while you're at it, because for me, this is going to be a very interesting run-in, and we're going to stay up to date with all of it. So, do you think Lincoln are going to do it? You've got to tell me. You need to tell me, because I think they will. But do I think Barnsley are going to slip out, or do I think it's going to be Oxford? I think Barnsley could slip out. They're not quite on the form at the moment. And obviously, as you can see by Lincoln City, they are well on it. But how are Oxford getting on? Shall we take a look into the next game? So this is a big one, not just for the playoff race, but also for automatic promotion. A win for Peterborough keeps them well within the fight, especially considering that Bolton play Portsmouth. Derby County have also been dropping points recently, so Peterborough need to match them at minimum to stay up to date with 2nd place. Now, as you can see here, the head-to-heads of these two sides is 6 wins to 6 with 3 draws in between Oxford United versus Peterborough at the Kazam Stadium. It is a massive, massive game. If we go back to the 9th of December, Peterborough ran out 3-0 winners. And if we look back to last season, Peterborough collected 4 points from Oxford. Are they going to do the same this season? That is going to be interesting to see. Obviously, Peterborough are in impressive form after beating Port Vale 3-0 and winning 2-1 in the EFL Trophy final. But shall we take a look at both sides' recent form? And as you can see, Oxford and Peterborough, very similar form. Oxford have won their last 2 games 4-0, as well as drawing versus Shrewsbury 1-1 and a 2-0 win over Port Vale. However, they aren't opposed to defeat after a 5-0 thrashing of Bolton Wanderers just 4 games ago. But Peterborough too aren't afraid of defeat, losing 2 of their previous 5, 3-1 to Carlisle and 1-0 to Portsmouth. But they have won their final 3, beating Leyton, Orient, Wycombe and Port Vale. Peterborough find themselves in a really good place heading into their final 5 games of the season. They currently sit on 77 points, just 6 points behind Derby County. If Peterborough were to play their games in hand before Derby next play, they could find themselves level on points and potentially above them on goal difference depending on results. But obviously, the biggest challenge is Bolton. Bolton are on 42 games, 81 points. They could find themselves ahead of Derby this weekend. We're going to get into that fixture in just a moment. But let's get on to the Stevenage game first, and then we'll look into the big ones. So here we have it. Stevenage face Burton Albion at the Lamex Stadium. Steve Evans will be hoping to get one over on Burton once again. And is he going to be able to do it? Obviously, they picked up a really good result recently against Barnsley. That 2-1 win gave them a bit more hope into that late playoff promotion push. But are they going to be able to do it? Burton Albion are in some rugged form. Patterson calling out the fans at the weekend. It's not a good look at the moment for Burton Albion. It's not a good look for Patterson. Is he still going to be in a job come the end of the season? I think he's gone if they get relegated, if not before. And as we can see here with the head-to-head, Stevenage take the mantle. Now, obviously, this games go back to 2010, and up until December, they hadn't played each other since 2015. But a 2-1 win back in December helped Stevenage stabilise their place in the playoffs. But right now, Stevenage find themselves in 9th place, 3 points off Oxford with an extra game played, similarly to Blackpool. They'll be hoping for some results to go their way so that they can find themselves back in that playoff push. Now, if we look at the recent form, you can see why both teams are where they are. Just 1 win in the previous 5 for Stevenage has dropped them from playoff contention to 3 points outside the playoffs, whereas 4 defeats in 5 has seen Burton Albion slip to 20th place, just outside the relegation zone on goal difference by 2 goals to Port Vale. That's after losing to Port Vale earlier on in the month. Now, Cheltenham Town are 2 points behind Burton Albion with a game in hand. Are they going to be able to get out? That's going to be very interesting to see. It's a very rugged time down at the bottom. Cheltenham, Port Vale and Burton all battling for 1 place as Cambridge looks safe, Shrewsbury and the rest look safe too. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Who's going to get relegated from League One? Is it going to be Burton, Port Vale or Cheltenham? Let me know who you've got on your bingo card. For me, I personally think it's going to be Burton and Port Vale. I think Cheltenham are going to just edge it. Fingers crossed for Curtis Davis. So now we get into the 2 biggest fixtures of the weekend. Derby County face Leyton Orient at Pride Park Stadium. And in the previous game, Derby County came out 3-0 winners. Derby will be looking for a repeat of that performance because they haven't been hitting the heights they've recently hit. Derby County dropped 2 points against Wycombe Wanderers after a really good performance versus Portsmouth in a 2-2 draw. You go back to the Northampton game, it's another loss which has impacted their season. Now, we can go and look at both teams' recent form, and both sides are in a very similar boat. 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss for Derby. 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw for Leyton Orient. Now for me, Leyton Orient are essentially out of the playoff push. They've got 8 points to gain with 3 games left, and they need every team above them to lose their games. Is that going to happen? Most likely not. But are they going to put up a big fight? I 100% believe so. But Derby County know that they need a minimum of a draw for them to stay ahead of Bolton, but they'll be looking for all 3 points. They want to head into Bolton's game in hand, knowing that no matter what happens for Bolton, they are still in 2nd place. For me, this second place fight has 3 people in it: Peterborough, Bolton and Derby. I'm going to get into that a little bit later on, but this game is going to be absolutely massive for Derby. Losing Dwight Gale in that Bolton game has really seen a slip of attacking performance. Then losing Joe Ward into the Wycombe game lost a bit more attacking impetus. Now, don't get me wrong, Derby had plenty of chances to win that game at Wycombe, but they just weren't clinical. A miss from Corey Blackett-Taylor early on was absolutely awful, but can they get back on their clinical edge and win at home versus Leyton Orient? Will be a massive result if they do so, and it will put real pressure on Bolton Wanderers and Peterborough. Shall we now get into the Bolton game? If you want to see a full Derby County versus Leyton Orient preview, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that will be out tomorrow morning as I look ahead to the Derby versus Leyton Orient game that I'll be attending at Pride Park Stadium. So finally, the biggest one of the weekend, just as important as Derby versus Leyton Orient, Bolton face Portsmouth at the Tough Sheet Community Stadium. Portsmouth will be hoping to come away with 3 points, as that would determine them as title winners in League One and would confirm fully their return to the Championship with a title in hand. Bolton Wanderers obviously looking to get closer to Derby County and apply that pressure, but are they going to be able to do so? If you look at the head-to-head of the two sides, 6 wins from Portsmouth to Bolton's 2, with a draw in there as well, shows that they aren't all sunshine and rainbows for Bolton. Bolton are going into this game off the back of losing 2 in a row to Portsmouth back in February of 2023 and back in December. Both games 2-0 for Portsmouth and then 3-1 in the February game. Now, Bolton know that they can beat Portsmouth, but they haven't done so since January of 2023. Now, are Portsmouth going to be able to win the title this weekend? For me, I think the answer is yes. And if we look at the recent form, here is why. They score an abundance of goals. Don't get me wrong, they also do concede goals, but they're a very astute outfit. Bolton Wanderers coming off the back of 3 wins, a loss and a draw, whereas Portsmouth coming off the back of 4 wins and a draw. I think Portsmouth will come into this game the happier of the two sides, knowing that they've pretty much sealed everything they need to seal this season. Bolton will come in with a point to prove, and for me, that will leave them open. They need to get themselves or stay within 2 points of Derby County, well, 3 points of Derby County, in order to give themselves the best opportunity to get promoted. So I think that will leave them open and give Pompey the opportunity to hit them on the counter-attack, or give Pompey the opportunity to control the game as Bolton feel the heat of the emotion. So shall we now just close out this video? So to close out this video, for me, 3 teams have control of that second automatic promotion place. People will say, well, it's in Bolton's hands, or is it in Peterborough's hands? Now, for me, right now, I don't think anyone can lay a claim to that second place. I think that Bolton Wanderers, if they win all their games, absolutely, yes, they will get promoted. But Peterborough, if they win all their games, it leaves them in a position where they'd be level on points with Derby if they win all their games. So for me, there is a situation right now where no team can say that they have their hands on it. For me, I think it's 30% Bolton. For me, I think it's 40% Bolton, 30% Derby, 30% Peterborough. Don't get me wrong, Bolton have that upper hand because they can go ahead of Derby at present moment. However, Bolton play Peterborough on the final day. They also play Portsmouth this weekend. Derby could come out on Saturday 5 points clear, meaning that Bolton suddenly lose control again. So for me, due to the uncertainty of who is in control right now, you cannot say it's Bolton's to lose, or it's Peterborough's to lose, or it's Derby's to lose. It's very much a situation where all 3 teams have an opportunity to get promoted. All 3 teams are determining results elsewhere to go their way, because Bolton obviously need to beat Peterborough. Derby need to win their games. Peterborough need to win theirs. It's a very tough ask for Bolton to beat Peterborough and both Portsmouth. Their 2 games in between are definitely easier than what they could have, to be completely honest. But Peterborough also have quite a simple, easier run-in. Now, Derby have to face Leyton, Orient, Cambridge and Carlisle. It's going to be very interesting to see if this goes down to the final day, because given the results, Derby could be promoted at Cambridge, or no one could be promoted until the final whistle at the final day of the season. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for all the latest EFL League One content. I will have a matchday vlog out on Saturday and a Derby County vs Leyton Orient preview out tomorrow. And then on Sunday, it'll be a League One review before heading into a League One preview on Monday. So make sure you stay tuned for all the latest content coming your way over the next few weeks. Let me know who you think is going to get promoted down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.